Hello, everyone. It looks like we're getting viewers into the room, which is wonderful. As you're coming into the room, you're going to want to click in the upper left-hand corner on the chat icon. Because we're going to have so many viewers in this session today, we're going to have trouble being able to keep up with everyone with video and voice. So I have disabled video and voice for this session, but please use the Q&A. You're going to see a chat, not the Q&A, excuse me, the chat tool. It's going to be in the upper left-hand corner when you hover over the left-hand corner of your Google Hangouts screen. And this is assuming that you've logged into Google Hangouts for this session. So in the upper left-hand corner, you're going to see a chat button. You want to click on that so that on the right hand of your screen, you see a group chat panel. That's where you can say hello to everybody, ask questions, interact with people, since we won't be able to have the voice or the video for everybody attending. So it looks like we already have 17 viewers, which is wonderful. For those of you that have joined, my name is Melissa Lobel. I am your instructor. I'm assuming that you are joining because you are in my Coursera class. But if for some reason you've been invited by somebody in the class and you're not in it, I am the instructor of Emerging Trends and Technologies in K12 Virtual Education. And I wanted to use this evening as a chance for us to get to know each other, to give everybody a chance to try Google Hangouts on Air, and to help answer some questions that people may have from the beginning of the course. So like I said, we can't, and I apologize, we're going to be repetitive here in the beginning because people will slowly be adding to our session. But like I said in the beginning, to chat with all of us, I have enabled group chat in the upper left-hand corner. So I'm going to say hello to everybody in the chat. You should be able to participate in that group chat. Use the upper left-hand corner. If there's no tool icons on the left-hand side of your Hangouts window, make sure to hover over it and then it will appear. And in the upper left-hand corner, you should see a chat tool. It looks like a blue box with some lines in it, and that should give you the ability to then post questions and say hello and introduce yourself over in the group chat on the right. You do have to be logged into Google to do that. I had mentioned that in the instructions in my course. You have to be actually logged into chat because it's going to identify you as your login profile when you post that chat. So if you just clicked on the link and you're just watching, you won't be able to chat, but you will be able to chat if you've logged in to Google+. Once again, make sure you hover over the left-hand side of the corner of the box, and up in the left-hand corner, you're going to find our live chat icon. Now, I am in my home office, which is why you see all sorts of weird stuff in the background. And I'm going to occasionally look down on my phone because this will help me monitor if people are having a hard time actually seeing. And somebody commented that it's only for the participants in the video, and that's actually not true. Okay, so let's try to get the QA going because I've used the chat for just regular participants too. So let me see if we can get the QA going and figure out how we can get that enabled. We'll try that one as well. So I'm going to try to run through a few things to get the Q&A going. Hold on. Bear with me. We'll get the Q&A going. Let's see if this will give me, let's chat. Okay. Let's see if we can get it. Nope, that's not going to help me. We'll get the Q&A going too. Every time I click on it, it seems to want to be disabled. So let's see if we can get the feature enabled. Sorry, everyone. The last time I did this, we were able to actually use the chat tool, which is crazy that we cannot use it this time. And this is one of the fun things about using technology, as you all have discovered, in that you have challenges when things change. Okay. that. All right, we're gonna do something fun here. Oh, Hangouts, Q&A. Yeah, we're working on the chat. Thank you all for telling me. We are working on getting the Q&A because for some reason, like you said, you can either do the chat or the Q&A and you can't see me at the same time. So, okay, so we need to enable it. Sorry, you're probably all staring at me reading something at the moment, but I'm just seeing how we can change this. Okay. So I have to do it from the events page. So we'll do it from there. Events. And we will do it from that page. Enable. Sorry about that, guys. We're going to enable this. Believe it or not, I'm going to make this work. Here we go. Let's see. Nope, that's not letting me do it. We're just trying to enable QA so you can actually text me. I'll actually answer questions as you guys are texting them to me in the Google Hangouts as well. So one of the fun things about technology is that it changes. So supposedly I can edit this from my event, which it doesn't seem to want to let me do. So we're going to try over here. Let's see. Should let me give you the Q&A. You can also post hello to everybody, and I see that people are already doing that in our Google chat room, which is awesome. Let's see, guests can comment. We should be able to do this. And I know, wow, we've got 62. This is awesome. Fabulous. I'm so happy to see that so many people are in this room, which is awesome. But for some reason, we're having trouble for those of you coming with the Q&A. So you know what? Rather than figure that piece out, keep chatting with each other in your chat window. Say hello to everybody. And we will talk about questions that you also have as you're in here. So the good news is you can see me, which is part of the reason why this is very helpful when you're trying to manage large audiences, particularly large virtual audiences that are at a distance, and you want to have a chance to speak to everybody synchronously, but you can't do it with some of the more simple video conferencing kind of tools that are out there. So this is a nice thing. We're able to broadcast it. You can present information out, and usually you can also include Q&A. Except in this case for some odd reason. So while I'm working on the Q&A, I'm also going to say a few things about the course so that everybody's aware of some things to know about our course together, and also share with you some of the observations that I've already had in looking at your discussions in the course. So first of all, and like I said, at the same time, I'm working on getting us Q&A. I am so thrilled that everybody is participating and excited about our course together. I've already seen some people share with one another great feedback in the discussions. You're giving people tips, your colleagues tips and tricks about different technologies to use and how to use them. And in fact, there's going to be some cases where I might ask you all to see if you want to help contribute to future iterations of this course with some of the great technology strategies that you're suggesting. I also want to praise you for the feedback that you've already given on the course. I really appreciate that you've shared what you've liked so far. Make sure to continue to share what you don't like too, or where you would like improvements to happen, because I would be happy to incorporate any kind of improvements into the course as we can do it, and moving into the future. So I encourage you to do that as well. A few things that I do want to say that we'll make sure we accommodate for. I know a number of you that will be watching this recording will see that I know that a number of you that will be watching the recording wouldn't have been able to join us because it's so early or so late at night for you, wherever you are around the world. And I apologize for that for this first session. I usually just do one first session because we don't have that many participants, although we have 43 viewers, which is awesome. And then as the course goes, because people will join the course as we go, and you'll get more into the content, you'll have meatier questions. I like to then host 2 sessions at the end where we can dig into some of the meatier things that you want to dig into. So I apologize for those of you watching the recording that this was at a bad hour. Apologize for that. We'll have better options for the second Google Hangouts. We'll have that actually enabled with Q&A. I'm honestly not sure why I cannot get this to enable, and why chat didn't work the way it did last time. And then we'll also be holding live Twitter sessions. We're going to do them next week, and I'm willing to do more of them, or we can add more Google Hangout sessions in too. So if you really find opportunities for all of us to ask each other questions live in either of those settings valuable, just say so in the discussions or in this Google group, and we'll continue to add more times so that we can all meet together. As an instructor myself, I've taught for, gosh, almost 15 years now, and I really like synchronous interaction. I find it's a way for all of us to connect in a really complementary way to asynchronous stuff that you're already doing in Coursera. And this is where I feel like it's a way that we can really help each other in the moment. And so I'm more than happy to do more of that if you want it. And yes, I know it would be lovely to view and comment at the same time. I know, and I'm trying desperately to get my Q&A button to enable. Every time I click on it, it won't let me enable, and I keep trying to go into a variety of different settings, and it won't let me enable the Q&A, which is really bizarre. And then I went into the actual event itself and tried to enable it there, and it's also not letting me enable it there, which is what's really odd about this. Like I said, I've had really good luck with the chat before in the past, and it's very odd that it's not letting me do this time around. In fact, just a week ago, I ran a different session and we were able to use chat without having everybody on video. So if you guys, as you're working on this, if you see any little tips and tricks that we want to do, let me see, I'm gonna try some more different tips and tricks here of how we can possibly get the Q&A to actually work, or the chat to actually work in the same window. Let me go back to chat and see if there's settings in chat that I can to list. This is not going to let me enable it. Let's see. Choose links. Nope. It's going to let me choose links and emoticon. So yes, one of the fun things about technology. Keep though posting in the chat, because I'm looking at that at the same time, hence my head looking down. I'm looking at my phone. It's my phone. And I'm monitoring the Google chat as it's coming. So there is a question in here I would love to be able to answer while we're still trying to figure out how to make Q&A versus a chat work. And that's the question around the technology that was used for my videos. And somebody asked about this in the discussions as well. And so this, I think, will be a really good opportunity for us to answer that question. So important to know about the videos that I did. They were done, yes, with a green screen. So we did have a green screen in the background. It's not a very expensive one, and you could probably accomplish the same with some other sort of inexpensive, either a white wall behind you or some other inexpensive things, so that you could have the same feel as the green screen. But yes, I did have a green screen behind me, and I had one videographer in those videos. So for those of you, some of you might have been in this course in previous iterations. I know some people joined my course in November late and couldn't get all of the work done, and so we're going to come back in this February session. You will have noticed that my videos are drastically different. I used to do voiceover PowerPoint videos and then have intermittent videos of me talking. And part of the reason why I was doing that was because I wanted to keep the technology as low bandwidth as possible, that we were sampling for everybody so that you had an opportunity to actually be able to recreate things you liked, assuming that you found things in the experience that you liked. So I try to do that, but I got a lot of feedback that people wanted some more engaging videos, wanted to see me more for some reason, and wanted, you know, the style of videos to change a little bit. So I try really hard to incorporate feedback every iteration of the course. So I decided we were going to try a little more high-tech video, but not much more, because I still don't want to create overproduced videos that would be really expensive for you to recreate, because then you can't do the same thing. And this is all about us exploring what we like and don't like and what's actually feasible. So back to the question. Yes, there was a green screen behind me. I had one videographer that used a nice camera, but used the camera's automatic settings. They were not specialty settings to do that. We had a good bright room. You saw that I stood with a mouse to advance my slides. I was running my slides, which were a very bare minimum white PowerPoint with very simple black bullets, so that when we merged the two together using very simple software like Camtasia, when we merged the two together, it wouldn't look weird having me with the green screen standing next to floating words or weird pictures. I wouldn't cut them off. It was just very simple to be able to merge the two. So like I said, simple camera, simple green screen, very simple PowerPoints that I then would talk to, click using a mouse, and work through the presentations. The other thing we did have that I do think is really important and is a little bit more expensive than just a very basic camera setup is that we did have good lighting. We did have 2 lights on either side of me, and I think that really helps. As you can tell now, I don't have good lighting in my home office, so I look kind of pink, a little bit washed out. The room may be dark for some of you as you're watching it. That's a challenge, and so you are going to want to have some decent lighting, or make sure that you use lots of floor lamps and other things to get the glow right when you're recording videos like that. But really, that was it. I'm not a scripted video person, so all of the PowerPoints, I was just talking. I did not create scripts for myself. I was talking to all of those points. You probably figured that out because I would stumble over my words or correct myself at times, and I asked not to have that edited out because I think there's some value in really hearing sort of the off-the-cuff conversation or the insights in how the talk goes without having it become overly scripted or overly produced. So that was what I did. I'll be curious to get your feedback. There's parts of me that like how they turned out, and there's parts of me that still want them to be different and better. And we're still trying to experiment with how much more we can do with them without getting it to a point where you're watching videos that you couldn't actually do yourself without having 2 or 3 or 4 tech people in the room managing it, and some really, really advanced software and technologies around you. So that was my answer to the question about how we did that. Let's see, other questions. Yeah, I know. Thank you so much, Carol. I'm sorry, I'm going to call you out by name, but thank you, Carol. It says the Q&A app will only appear if the host enables, and see more. And I tried to enable it. It said to go back into the event to enable the Q&A, and I went back into the event and it wouldn't let me. So let me see if it will let me, if I can continue to find instructions for how to enable that Q&A. But keep coming with the chat. I'm sorry that you can't watch me and the chat at the same time. Just so you know, and it needs to be enabled. Okay, click player. I'm quickly looking for this. Just so you know, like I said, I had done this just a week ago and the chat worked totally fine. Clock pop out. Let's see if we can try some other things. So We're trying a few other things here to see if we can get this to work. Okay, that's working. I've got my control room. I'm just confused. Okay, chat will not work. So let's see if we can get this to enable in some way or another. And it just doesn't seem to want to enable. So I think for this one, I'm gonna have to learn the lesson and figure out how we can make sure in future sessions that we don't have an issue. Oh, I can now add headwear to my picture. That's kind of funny. That we don't have issues with making sure that we can all chat. So keep bringing them on in the, you need to stop the live feed and enable it and begin again. Thank you, Carol. I thought that was the case, and I'm fearful of stopping it and confusing everybody and then having to start it again. So if you've done it before and you think I'm safe, and you must enable it before. Thank you, Justin. So mistake, lesson learned. And this is always a great way in this class, because I will make all sorts of mistakes in this class. I do every single time. And so this is always a great way for us to learn from doing and not do my mistakes. And so clearly practice the day before, not the week before, to make sure all the tools that you think are working are still working, and then be prepared for when they don't. So thank you all for being patient and putting your questions and your feedback in the Google Plus Hangout. We will make sure we get this done right for the next Google Hangouts, which we'll do at the end of the course. And I think I'll add some in week 3 as well for everybody so that we can do it there as well. And then you'll have content that you can dig into. Thank you all, though, for the feedback on the videos. I really appreciate it. And thank you for the comment about the live, the non-scripting, the Solange. I think you made that comment. Thank you for that. I agree. You feel like you're in a live setting, and I think they're a little less boring. Sometimes I watch scripted videos that just, because they're so scripted, it's like, okay, this is not quite as entertaining as TV because the topic just really isn't. And they feel overly scripted and not, like you said, you don't feel like it's intimate. You don't feel like I'm having a conversation with you. So I appreciate that. I'm glad to hear that that's appreciated. It's also, I think sometimes you get the best information out of people when they aren't scripted, because there'll be a moment when they're describing something and they'll talk very personally about something and you see it and you hear it. And that's the thing that's an aha moment, as opposed to the scripted, I must tell you this, this, and this moment. And that's more what you want probably from me in our interactions is, here's some insight, here's some experiences. Now go chew on it and see how you feel about it and talk about it and debate it and see if it applies to you or not, as opposed to, here are the things that I must tell you and that you must try to listen to. And can you explain the steps for the Google Live chat? Yes, you agree. Yes, I absolutely can. How you do this, it's very easy. So once you're in your Google Plus account, so you log into your Google Plus account, you need to go to your home menu, which will be on the left, and you pick events. And from there, you click Start a Hangout. But when you click Start a Hangout, it will allow you to schedule it into the future. Then what it does, because YouTube is part of Google, what it will do is it will create the event. And all you do is set the parameters for the event and make sure that you enable Q&A at that moment, because I did not, and this is why we're in this issue. Enable Q&A if you want Q&A. And then once you've done, and you can turn on or off people's video and audio. When it's over 10, I don't like to have video and audio because it just screws up the bandwidth. So you set that event up. It goes out on your Google Calendar. You can invite people. You can send it out to people. It will automatically record it and send it to your YouTube account. So in my case, I have a YouTube channel. It'll automatically send this to the YouTube channel. So that's great. It'll just take care of that for you. The day of, so you know that that's going to happen. You've got your event. The day of, you just go back to your Google Plus page, go to your events, and click Start. Then it will launch this and start this. I'm doing it in my home office. My lighting's so-so. There's, random art. That's an owl in the back back right corner that you see. So you can find a good setting. I really encourage you to think about lighting. That's really important for this, and having a good mic. You see that I have a head mic on. I do that because this is one of the best mics I've ever found. I think USB mics are way better than some of the other kinds of mics that you can use with your computer, especially built in. But I am using a Mac, normal old webcam on my Mac. And then you just start it and you go. It'll automatically send it back to YouTube. What I do is when my recording's there, I quickly go make it unlisted for everyone because I don't want to make this a public recording, especially when now, see in this case, you guys aren't in the Q&A because we didn't turn it on. But if you had people in the Q&A or you can allow guests, you can pick and choose 2 or 3 or 4 people that you might want to actually be able to show on video or you might want to interview. So I always go back once it's recorded to my YouTube recording of it and unlist it. That way I don't have to worry about somebody else's responses or content being shared publicly, because then it could be searched through YouTube in any way. Now in this case, I did make this totally open to anybody. It was I opened this to the public on my Google Plus page, so anybody could see it that went to my Google Plus page. You can limit it to specific circles who that invitation goes to, and do some other things to be pretty restrictive about how you want people to have access. On the left-hand side, when you hover over the left-hand side, you will see tools that you can use, things like Q&A and chat. There's like drawing and whiteboarding. You've got some other really cool tools that you can do in this. I've never done that to any extent for fear that if we had 100 or 200 viewers that I could somehow mess up the bandwidth. So I try to keep this as with a low complexity, that's probably the best way to describe it, as possible. But there's a lot of other things you can do. And it's free and it's easy. And quite a few people around the world have Google accounts or feel comfortable creating a Google account since it's such a well-known and used set of technologies. So it tends to be something that people are really respond to. I've tried Skype in contexts like this, and it just doesn't have the tools or the bandwidth, unfortunately, to pull it off in the way that Google Hangouts on Air does. And I just like how seamless it is with everything else that we do. So that's how we do this. And I know you asked about some other technologies. Wow, welcome from Tasmania. By the way, I am blown away by where everybody's calling in from. It is the coolest thing. This always gives me chills every time I hear where everybody's joining the course from. And yes, I did put the whole course together alone. So you saw in the course that Victoria O'Neill is the course administrator or course manager. She handles all of the UC Irvine practicum information and the series of courses. So she'll be answering any questions that you might have around the practicum, the series, the capstone project. She handles that, but the actual course design, development, and all the content I put together myself. She does go through and edit me to make sure I don't have typos, and we'll double check my work. She'll test out my quiz questions and do things like that. But it is my putting together of the course. The only place where I had the additional person was the person who did my videoing, and he also did my video editing so that my PowerPoints went with my videos. And that was more of a time reason than a technology reason. I would have been happy to do that piece, but just having to build the course and continue to iterate on the course at the same time as doing that could be time consuming. So it's me. So anything in there that you have feedback on, I love. I wish there were people in here that had taken the course the first time, then the second time, and now the third time, because it is way better, and it is only way better because of everybody in the course giving me really, really good feedback. It's still not where I want it. There's still a lot I want to do with it, and I'll continue to iterate on it as I teach it because I love it and it's my passion. But the thing that excites me the most about it is every single time I teach it, people from all over the world connect and share and at least walk away with one idea of how they want to change education. And that is so powerful for me. As far as I'm concerned, my ideas out there are just to get you going and just to get you in the dialogue, right? I could be wrong about everything I'm saying, and that's fine because it opens a dialogue. The fact that you all debate and discuss and share and reflect, or take it back home and reflect on it in your own practice, is what just is super cool for me. Okay, you couldn't find the practicum dates. Thank you, Solange. I saw somebody posted about that in the discussions, and I will reach out to Victoria and ask her to answer those. I unfortunately don't know. When I first started teaching this course, I was working also at UC Irvine. That's where I was the Associate Dean for Distance Learning. So I was more in touch with some of the practicum stuff. Now, because I'm no longer there, I'm their instructor for this course, and I really focus on this course. I don't have all those exact dates anymore. So I will make sure Victoria responds in the discussions, and we'll put an announcement out with dates and other information around the practicum for anybody interested in that, and any other information or questions that people have around the capstone as well. Okay, so, oh, welcome from China. Oh, that's fabulous. I'm scanning through. Sorry, I'm looking down. I'm not trying to not look at everybody in the audience, but I'm scanning through my phone to see what other kinds of questions we would have. Are K12 teachers tech savvy enough to figure out issues like these that we are experiencing today? So I love that comment because, while I think tech savviness is important, I think the more important thing is to not be afraid and to be comfortable when you make mistakes. Because every time I've been using technology in and out of the classroom for almost 20 years now. And I can tell you that I would say 75% of my experiences had something weird go wrong with technology. Now, the majority of those probably I could not have controlled at all, right? This one I probably could have had I tested it yesterday instead of last week. I could have caught that I needed to make sure it was Q&A and not chat. But in general, you're going to run into things you can't control for. And the best part about it is if you're cool with that and you have a plan, right? You know that if this doesn't work, I can do these things. That's okay. And then roll with that plan. That's more important than tech savviness. I really do believe that. And the tech savviness goes as far as how much control you want. A lot of times, if you're going to introduce technology in the classroom, your students will know way more about it than you will, and let them help you guide how to use the technology while you're making sure that you're delivering the content or exposing students to the learning experiences that you want them to. So yes, it's probably scary for people, but I think K12 teachers, amazes me what K12 teachers do every day in their classroom. I'm married to one, and I've done it before in earlier parts of my career. And if you can handle what you do in and out of your classroom every day, the technology is a piece of cake. I'm looking to see if there's any other questions. I'm so excited that we have people from China, because sometimes it can be really hard to connect from China for various reasons. And so that excites me that we're working through some of those. That's part of the reason why I try to provide my content in a whole variety of different ways, so that if you are in bandwidth challenged places or certain technologies are blocked, at a school district or in a country, I try to give you as many different options to get that information as possible in case that's an issue. So I'm so excited to see where we're having people hail from. Yep, I agree, Florence. I'm looking at my phone while we're chatting. I'm trying to see if I'm missing other questions. Okay, we had a question from, hold on, I saw it. It was about the discussion forums. And the second question, by the way, I post discussion questions, as you've seen, every Monday. And those are just really to prompt you all to have discussions with one another. Don't let those restrict you. Discuss whatever you want to discuss. that will help you with your career or just help you get to know your colleagues. So don't feel like you have to be within the boxes of my questions. It's just to guide you in good opportunities to have dialogue with one another. I'll also be posting on Thursdays or Fridays little reflection videos, little 1 to 2 minute recorded videos. I a lot of times hang out in my backyard and just reflect on some of the insights in the discussions. It's going to be hard for me to respond to discussions individually because we will have so many people participating. So I like to respond to them in aggregate. I will try, though, if there's typos or question challenges or things like that where there's technical issues, I'll call those technical issues in the course, I will try to respond to those and help people with those. Oh, bummer, Alistair. That's a bummer. Google and YouTube are blocked. We'll try. We'll have to find some other things. We'll keep trying different technologies. I hope Twitter isn't blocked for you. So we will try other technologies that hopefully we can get to. I know, especially if you're trying to do this from your classrooms, if you are also a face-to-face teacher, there are lots of districts that would restrict some of these technologies from your classrooms. And so I know that's really challenging. You can do Hangouts on an iPad and even on an iPhone, and you'd be able to watch this from an iPad or an iPhone. So if you had a decent enough cell service, you might be able to get around some of those kinds of things that are being blocked, depending on how they're being blocked at your school. Yeah. I'm scanning through. Now, somebody had a question, I believe, on one of the discussion forum questions. Yes, I was quite confused about discussion question 3, part 2. Students who do not, let's see what this question is. Oh, that did not take me to that question. Post your question that you have with that in the actual discussions, and I'll take a look at that tonight and see if I can help clarify with that question, since I'm not able to quite see the whole question. By the way, one of the things I love about Google Plus is I have it integrated with my text, and I have unlimited texts on my phone, and so I'm actually seeing these as texts, and they're super easy for me to scan. It would be the same with the Google Plus app on my phone, but it's actually really handy that I can do this in texting. Let's see if there's any other questions from the crowd about the technologies, the course. Please make sure you work through the course in any way you wish. And how do you handle evaluations? We'll answer that too. Please, feel free to work through the course in any way you wish, and don't feel like you have to view every video. The quiz questions are based on the videos, except in the case of Module 4, where the quiz questions are only based on my videos, not on the sample videos with examples in specific disciplines. So you do not need to watch all the discipline videos in Module 4. You can just watch my brief videos to be able to answer the quiz questions. But you've probably also figured out that you can take the quizzes 3 times. They're not meant to be an assessment. They're meant to be a learning opportunity. So watch what you want, participate where you want, get from the course what you want. Make sure you do that, and don't feel as though you have to watch everything unless you really want to watch everything, which I invite people to, because there could be an aha moment in any of the videos you see. And you asked about evaluation and assessment. We don't get into this, in this course, evaluation and assessment. There's the 3rd course in the 4-course series that UC Irvine talks about that's specifically around evaluation and assessment. So you can get some really great insight from that course. But I will make it a point of going and adding some resources in the discussion area around evaluations and assessments, because you're not the only person that's asked that. So I'm gonna make myself a little note. How to evaluate and assess effectively online. I've got some good resources and tips for that. And in fact, you know what? That could make a great topic for a Hangout in week 3. I think we will go ahead and do that. We'll actually put a topic associated with week 3, and we'll do it on evaluation and assessment in virtual environments. I think it's a great idea. So I will add that in, and I will add some more opportunities for us to meet to talk about that. Because there's some really good resources out there, and there are some good tips and tricks and best practices for how to think about evaluating and assessing, particularly how you structure things online to avoid things like cheating, to avoid rote activities where students, it's not actually a learning or engaging activity. It's about going and getting information and then just posting that back. It's not reflecting, it's not digesting, it's not working with that information. So there's some good tips and tricks out there. We'll make a point of sharing that. So I want to just maybe take a couple more minutes and then we'll wrap up about 8:45. And that's Mountain Time, sorry, that's where I live. So we're up 7:45 Pacific Time and probably 4 a.m. some places with people connecting. Somebody's from Siberia on this, that's amazing, and cold, burr. But we'll just take a couple more minutes to wrap up and then we'll let everybody go off and have their evenings or their mornings or their days free. I want to see if there's any other questions that people have. I'm so excited to see we've had 48 people from all over the world. That's so cool. Let's see if there's any other questions in here people have. So there was a question about other interfaces in my courses that I use. So you probably read my bio and you know that I work at Instructure, which is the company that produces the Canvas LMS. So I have used the Canvas LMS as a platform to teach in. I've used Blackboard, and I used to work for Blackboard for quite a while. I've used Moodle and other platforms, environments that you have a variety of different tools that you use for virtual teaching. And in general, they function in very similar ways. When people are looking at those platforms and they're looking at things like Coursera and other environments to administer and manage student learning, I encourage them to try all the different ones out and see what fits you best, because there's a fair amount of, I want to say, approach that's baked into these systems that you either fit or you don't. So some people like, I'll give you an example. Some people like being able to have a very free space where you can organize and structure things in a very open and free way. The challenge for other people with that is it can make things either busy or complex or hard to navigate. So it's just a preference. So some systems will allow you a lot of freedom. Other systems will lock down a little bit more how you present things, but give you a lot of freedom in what you present. So I think it's a lot of a style issue and a lot of preference in what's going to be most effective and efficient for you to teach in. Where do you feel most comfortable? So I feel very comfortable in synchronous settings and in front of the camera, just because I've taught for so long in a very physical, face-to-face environment. Other people won't feel comfortable that way, and they won't then want to use systems that need more of that or that excel in that area. They're going to want to use systems. There are people that I know that are amazing at developing assessments and evaluations and providing feedback to students. It blows my mind, right? I always struggle with creating questions and what kinds of, open-ended exams do I create? And I always struggle with that. It's not my strength necessarily. So systems that rely heavily on that or put that at the forefront wouldn't be my style or my take or where I'd be comfortable. So back to the initial question, I encourage you to try them all out. And the good thing is Moodle's free, and you can download it and run it, or you can find places where you can just go host a free Moodle course. Blackboard has course sites, which is a website where you can teach a course or at least build a course in Blackboard for free without having to tell or do it with anybody else. Canvas does the same thing. It's called Free for Teachers. And then lots of other up-and-coming platforms out there do the same thing. So go try and build and play and see what feels the best, because most of them will have very similar technology. They'll just present it in different ways and be more forward with certain aspects of it in different ways. Okay. All right. So with that, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. And you know, Florence, your comment about Coursera seems similar to Canvas. There are some real similarities, absolutely, to the structure and the design. Coursera is really interesting because it's very video forward and very assessment forward. So it's very much videos and great ways to get at them and get the transcripts and all the information super easy. And they put a lot of energy into making sure anybody can watch the videos. And I love that. And then the assessments, same thing. Lots of assessment type questions, lots of ways to get feedback built in, lots of ways for you to have either very low stakes kinds of assessments or high stakes assessments, and then even the peer assessments. So I think those would be, if we looked at Coursera, those are my personal beliefs that they're very strong in those two areas. There's other areas where I think they could continue to improve, like how you design the interface of your course and the kinds of informations and the way references and resources are stored. There's some other areas that other systems, I think, do a little more easily or possibly even better. But I absolutely agree that they're very similar, and Coursera is very video and assessment forward. Yep. So let's wrap up. If everybody wants to say goodnight to everybody else in the Google Hangout, in our Google Plus community, and I will apologize again. I'm so sorry that my chat versus QA did not work tonight, but at least we were able to track everybody and answer questions, and you all get to meet me live, and know that I'm out there reading your discussions, really excited about everything that's happening, and we'll be continuing to check in. And know that in week 3, I'm going to add 2 new Hangout dates so that we'll have Hangouts again. We will have Q&A turned on correctly that time. And we're going to talk about, in at least one of those sessions, evaluation and assessment in online environments. So with that, I'm going to say goodnight to everybody. Good night. Wave my hands. And wish you all well. And thank you from the bottom of my heart for connecting from all over the world and being a part of this course and helping me continue to grow in my teaching and helping each other continue to grow in their teaching. So good night.